today's video is going to be the mid-year book tag, the mid-year freak out book tag, whatever you want to call it. So these are my thoughts on the best books that I've read this year and the worst books I've read this year, and also the most disappointing, I would say. So we have 13 questions. I'm going to take them straight from Larry's tag because y'all know Larry's my favorite booktuber out there. She's amazing. Love that girl. So we're just going to start with question number 1, and that is the best book you've read so far in 2025. I don't think this answer is going to come as a surprise to anyone. I'm just going to type it in because your girl is tired and I'm not holding up any physical books, okay? But this wasn't just my favorite book that I read this year. This is my favorite book that I've read since I started reading again. Probably my favorite book I've ever read in my life. And that is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. If you have not read this book yet, you need to read this. Like, if there's any book that you take away from this video, this one. This book is a fucking masterpiece. Best book I've ever read. It is so... I've never felt like throwing up more, but also like crying and sobbing and just devastated and literally on the edge of my seat, but also I'm ready to like be sick to my stomach because of this book. But there is so much packed into this standalone 450 page book. I believe it's 450 pages or maybe a little bit under that. Fantastic 6-star read, 10-star read. It's so political, but there's so much fascinating components to the magic system in this book. I'm just so happy I read this book. It's fucking phenomenal. Best book I've ever read. But definitely the best books that I've read this year besides this one was Onyx Storm, obviously, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, the Beartown Trilogy by Frederick Bachman, and Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. The historical fiction's been kicking ass this year. And then obviously Onyx Storm. I mean, come on. But I've read, and Remarkably Bright Creatures has just become one of my favorite books I read this year as well. So good. But just some honorable mentions, but obviously I would have to say Blood Over Brighthaven is the best book I've read this year. Okay, number 2 is worst book you've read so far in 2025. And honestly, I think it's going to have to be this one because this book was terrible, you guys. Freaking terrible. And that is The Crash by Freida McFadden. This book was just so bad, so disappointing. I think I read some of the worst books that I've read this year in January. January was such a all over the place month for me, and I read Blood Over Brighthaven in January and also The Nightingale and this book. And, you know, usually I can look forward to Freida McFadden's books because, like, they're entertaining, they're popcorn thrillers, but honestly, this book was just so badly written. It just was not a fun time. Everybody that thinks about picking up this book, I tell them, I'm like, no, it was terrible. I hated it. So don't waste your time. I don't even want to talk about this book more because it's such a waste of my fucking time. It was just terrible. Now, the next one is the best sequel you've read so far in 2025. And obviously, it's Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. How could I not give best sequel of 2025 to this one? And yes, this is a sequel because it's the second prequel in the Hunger Games world. The first prequel came out, I think, back in like 2020 or 2021. So she made us wait freaking 5 years for this damn sequel to come out. But oh my God, I have raved about the Hunger Games since I've, finally read it this year. I'm like, if I don't read any other series this year or don't read any other books on my 25 and 2025, it has to be the Hunger Games series. And I finally read it at the end of March. And then I binged Ballad and Sunrise on the Reaping the first week of April. No regrets, but oh my God, this will break your freaking heart, you guys. Break your heart. But it's amazing. And just, I think that Suzanne Collins is such a genius, and I just absolutely love her writing. So I can say less because The Hunger Games speaks for itself. I mean, they're literally classics and timeless books in the book worlds for a reason. They're absolutely brilliant. So I will rave about The Hunger Games until the end of time at this point because I finally fucking read them. Okay, next up is new release you haven't read yet but want to. And there are quite a bit of 2025 releases that I haven't gotten to, but also there are quite a lot that I have read. I've been really doing really good about reading 2025 releases. I've also gotten quite a few ARCs this year, which I've never gotten ARCs. Last year, I finally decided to apply for some this year. But The Twisted Throne by Danielle L. Jensen is probably the top one on my list because I purchased the entire Bridge Kingdom series and I have not read it yet. But The Twisted Throne, I believe, came out back in May. I think it was May, yeah. And I really want to read that series, but I'm probably not going to read it until September. But I have to read the first 4 books before I'm able to read The Twisted Throne because it's the 5th book in the series. But technically, they're all separate duologies. So, I'm just going to have to hopefully be able to commit to that at some point. Another one is Rewinded Back by Liz Tom Ford because, again, that is the 5th book in a Sports in the Windy City series, which is a beloved series by a lot of people. And I did make it one of my goals to read more sports romances this year. But yeah, and I really haven't read much of any besides releasing 10. Like, I don't know. For some reason, I'm not really a huge sports romance kind of person. I did read my first dark college hockey romance. So, anyway, and there's probably plenty that I'm forgetting, but honestly, those 2 are like top priority for me. Also, Rose in Chains by Julie Soto just came out, and I'm kind of getting a little bit interested in it. It wasn't really on my radar for this month's TBR, for July's TBR, but I'm kind of thinking about I might read just new releases next week because I have to read 3 Shattered Souls anyway by May Corlin to finish what do you call it? The 5 Broken Blades trilogy. Is that what it's called? I believe that's what the series is called. But we're going to talk about that series in a minute to answer one of the other questions. But actually it's not on this list, but I do want to add it because I want to add my most disappointing read this year as well. Oh wait, there's a worst sequel you've read so far in 2025. Hold on, I skipped that one. This was the one I was gonna answer this with. So, the worst sequel that I read in 2025 was Four Rune Realms by May Corlin. This book was painful to get through. I kept on putting it down. I just did not care anymore, but I'm like, I want to get through it just so I can, continue the series. But honestly, the first book in this series was so much more fun, so much better pace, so much more happened. This book was just so, like I said, freaking boring. Oh my God. Like, terrible. And literally everybody said, that, literally nothing happens until like the last 20 pages, and I would have to agree. It's not even till like the freaking basically last chapter and the epilogue where something actually happens in this. And honestly, I could have just read that part of the book and I would have missed literally nothing. But I'm still gonna finish the series because literally the third book, like I said, comes out in 5 days, and I'm just gonna finish it. So I might read Three Shattered Souls, Rose in Chains, and Time of Your Life by Jessa Hastings next week, because I might squeeze in some new releases. And then I'll go back to my TBR, because literally the rest of my TBR is like gonna be pretty easy to get through. So yeah, just horrible. As far as other new releases, I probably will end up regretting not saying some of these. It was mostly like ones that were on my previous TBRs, but I just didn't get to them because simply I ran out of time, or like I said, they were part of a series that I just didn't read. But honestly, like I said, I've been doing really good about keeping to 2025 releases. So I think those are the only two that I'm going to say. Maybe besides Wild Side by Elsie Silver, which again, I actually have not gotten to read any Elsie Silver books before. But also, I don't know. I tried to read Wild Love like last summer, and I just wasn't really that interested in it, so I kind of soft DNF'd it. Which I don't soft DNF physical books unless it's like painful to get through, like Spanish Love Deception last year. That was like the book that took me the longest to read last year. I have not taken 2 weeks to read a book like I did with Spanish Love Deception last year. This year, the longest I've probably taken to read a book this year is like 4 days. I've been just tearing through books. So, yeah. So I think that's about it. But I would like to get to the Chestnut Springs series this summer. So hopefully I can read those. I think I'm just going to say those 3 books because, again, they're all part of series. So I'm hoping to get to some of those series by the end of this year. I mean, The Bridge Kingdom is on my 25 and 2025. So I'm definitely going to read that series before the year is over because I'm intending to read them in September. So, okay. Actually, there's one other new release that I haven't read yet, but also I want to read more of her older books first this summer because I have Carrie Soto is Back and Malibu Rising on my summer TBR. I want to read Malibu Rising next month and Carrie Soto this month. And that is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and her newest book is Atmosphere, and it just came out, I believe, only like a few weeks ago. I think it was like, I don't remember if it was like mid-June. I think it came out last month though. I don't think it came out in July, if I'm not mistaken, but I do want to read that book. I might buddy read that with Felicia in November. We picked If We Were Villains, but it might be Atmosphere because I kind of want to read more of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books this year as well. Because I'm already working on Kristen Hanna's books this year, so. But as long as I read Carrie Soto is Back and Malibu Rising, then, and read like the other Kristen Hanna books on my list, those are also books I want to add to what books I want to read by the end of the year as well. So yeah. Bye. Well, let's continue into the rest of the video. I just ended up remembering this after I finished recording. So, yeah, let's continue. Just wanted to make sure that filmed because remember I told you guys that the last time I did this. Oh, also City of Smoke and Brimstone. I really want to read the Gods and Monsters series, but again, Cities of Gods and Monsters series, but again, those books are like chonkers. They're huge, but I really do want to read that series at some point, but also I'm like not a huge urban fantasy girl, or urban romantasy girly, because when I tried to read Crescent City, I just didn't care. Just really didn't like it that much, which was crazy because you guys know I love Throne of Glass and ACOTAR, so yeah, I really do want to read that series though, because a lot of people like rave about it. And, basically the other new releases that I want to get to this year are all ones that haven't come out yet. So, which leads into the next question, which is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I mean, I could not say this book, but also there's like 2 that I'm looking forward to in my birthday month next month. But this one is my most highly anticipated read. And it's obviously the second book in the Quicksilver series by Callie Hart, which is Brimstone. Literally cannot wait for this book to come out. We are all waiting on bated breath for this book to come out, you guys. Like, I cannot believe this year we got Onyx Storm, Sunrise on the Reaping, and Brimstone. Like, this book is huge, you guys. Quicksilver blew up this year and last year. I'm so glad that I read it before 2024 was over. So now I'm so excited for this book. I loved Quicksilver so much. So you best believe this is going to be like my Onyx Storm for Christmas pretty much. I cannot wait to read this book, you guys. And then also Heavenly Bodies too. Hold the phone. Cannot wait for that book too. But Brimstone is definitely number one. There are definitely a couple that I'm highly anticipating, but Brimstone obviously. But the second book in the Heavenly Bodies trilogy is supposed to be coming out in November, I believe. But I don't know why it's not listed on Goodreads. But it's called Fallen Stars, I'm pretty sure. And so excited for this book too, by Imani Iriu. So excited. But also, I'm really excited for The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent, which is the fourth book in the Crimes of Nexia series. Comes out next month. Super excited for that book. And also, Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Maher is the third book in the Assistant to the Villain trilogy. So excited for that. I think those books are so much fun. They're just such a great time. Okay, biggest surprise of the year. Biggest surprise of the year. There's a lot I could say for this because like I've said, I've read so many good books this year. But let me just scroll really quick and see what we could say. I mean, again, so many good books this year. I don't really know. Let's see. Because most of these books I knew I was going to love. Biggest surprise. You know what? Oh, you know what? I could save this book. Hold on. Oh, actually, maybe I'll say that one because a lot of people didn't love it, but I actually really liked it. Contrary to unpopular opinion, I actually really liked this book. So I think I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say this book. Biggest surprise, besides Night Weaver by, oh my god, I can't remember the author's name at the current moment. Hold on. Why is this like spazzing on me right now? Can you like not? What the hell? The most surprising book to me this year that I actually really liked, compared to unpopular opinion, was Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambao. Yambao, can I say it any worse? I'm sorry. It was a horrible pronunciation. I really liked this book. I thought it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but as it picked up, I really liked it, and I actually ended up listening to it entirely via audio. Even though I had picked up the physical book, I actually just really enjoyed the narration, and I feel like I kind of did myself a service of listening to it rather than reading it, because I feel like if I would have listened to it, I might have not liked it as much as I did. But I thought it was just really, really good. I really liked it. So, I don't know. I don't understand the hate. I thought it was a really well-written book. So, I really liked the magic system in it. I really liked the concept of using origami as like pockets of time to time travel. It's just really, really cool. So, I don't know. I really liked it. Okay. Favorite new author. You guys, hold on. Let's grab some books, all right? Hold on. I have to.
Okay, I wanted to add
one more book, to biggest surprise. I don't know how the hell I didn't say this one as my initial answer, but Water Moon is definitely was a big surprise to me. But this one, Carly Fortune's One Golden Summer. This was a 5-star read for me, and I didn't expect this to be, because I really haven't had the best luck with Carly Fortune's books in the past. I have read every single one of her books, read every single one of her summer romances. I read all of the other ones last summer, and this is the only one that I've read from her this summer, because this was her summer romance release. But this ended up being my favorite summer romance I think I've ever read, besides Summer in the City. But this one, it made me cry, it made me happy, but like, I cried in this book because I just loved their romance in this book, and I loved Charlie in this book. Oh my god. He's definitely one of my biggest crushes this year as well, but this book was just so beautifully written and really impressed me with Carly Fortune's future books, because I've always liked Carly Fortune's writing. I actually thought that Every Summer After was going to be my favorite book by her. It actually was until this book, but, you know, I didn't love the cheating trope in that book. But besides that, it was really, really good. I was getting the 5-star feelings from that book until that cheating trope, and then I didn't really love Meet Me at the Lake, and This Summer Will Be Different. With this one, I wasn't even going to read this, and that was a lot of people's reactions to this book, is that they weren't even going to initially read this, and it actually impressed a lot more people like myself. So I really loved this book. It was so good. And then as far as new authors go, I mean, obviously, like I said, Fredrik Backman is my favorite new author, but also I want to mention 2 more romance authors really quick. Sarah Hawley, oh my god. Her Glimmer Falls series, I'm so glad that I finally read it this year, because that was on my TBR since like, I think March of 2024, so I'm so happy I finally read them this year. Oh my god, they were hysterical. Such a fun series, and I really want to read her Servant of Earth book, because Servant of Earth book, because the second book comes out in November, and I feel like I'm gonna love that series, so I'm probably gonna read Servant of Earth right before the second one comes out. And then I wanted to also say that another one of my new favorite authors this year was Sarah Adams. So both Sarahs, which is so funny, but need to mention my female authors. I finally decided to read Sarah Adams' books this year, and I read her When in Rome series, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really, really cute, and I'm probably not going to read her other books, though, because, as people say, her When in Rome series is better than her other series, but I don't know. Maybe in the future I might pick up her other series, but I wanted to read those books this year, so I did read 3 books from her. And also I read 3 books from Sarah Hawley too, but I do really want to read Servant of Earth as well, so I'll end up probably reading 5 books from her. But she's definitely like probably my new favorite female author besides Kristen Hanna. But again, Kristen Hanna's not a new favorite author to me, so but anyway, and then as far as anticipated releases, y'all know I can never shut up. I don't even know why I didn't mention this, because like I just wasn't trying to mention books that I'm going to read in July, because I already know I'm going to read them when they come out. But Wrath of the Dragons by Olivia Rose Darling is probably my second most anticipated read besides Brimstone, so I don't know why I didn't say that. But it's the second book in the, I forget what the series is called, but the first book is called Fear the Flames. And Fear the Flames was a very popular book last year because it got traditionally published. And the second book, actually, it is called Fear the Flames. So the second book comes out July 29th, and you best believe I'm going to be sat reading this book, okay? I'm so excited for this book to come out, because I absolutely loved Fear the Flames. I gave it a 5 stars, so cannot wait for this. This is definitely going to be my finale to July, and this is going to be the book that I'm reading the 29th, because I'm not reading anything else that day. And it'll probably take me the 29th to the 31st to finish, because that's when I start training at Apple, and it's like of course, one of my most anticipated reads of the entire year has to come out as soon as I'm done training in the city, because I have training in the city the 26th to the 27th when I officially start training, and then the city in NYC. But then I start my full week of training after the 27th, and then of course this comes out the 29th. So I'm hoping to be done with a lot of my TBR before Wrath of the Dragons comes out. I should be able to. I definitely need to read The Night Circus before training, so I'm probably going to read that as like my first book as in the last full week of July, because I have to read that book, and then I'm probably going to finish Billy Summers and then like read some shorter books. I think I'm going to read In 5 Years that weekend of training, because I'm going to need something to read on the train back and forth both days. So I think that'll be perfect. So yeah, that's another Rebecca Surley book that I want to read. So yeah, that is it finally. So goodbye. Guys, favorite new author this year? I don't think you'll be shocked. Fredrik Backman. Like, this man, ow, that hurt. I just hit it on my leg. This man, this series, holy shit. So much pain, but oh my god, best series I've read in my life. The way that this man makes you feel for words on paper and for fictional characters, fantastic writing. I love his writing. I've given every single book that I've I have not written these books. I have read them though. I have not read them. Caitlin, get it together, girl. Every single book that I've read from this man, I've given 5 stars. And the Beartown trilogy, I've given every single book 6 stars and I just finally picked up this book, so perfect to hold up for this video, because I actually did not read this book physically. I probably couldn't. The only Fredrik Backman book that I read physically was Anxious People. And I actually listened to most of that via audio, because I was a little bit scared about reading that book, because literally every single book that I'd read before I read that book last month, I cried like a baby. But Beartown's definitely his most painful series to get through, but this literally changes you as a person. Like, I know people say that about a lot of books, but there is something about his writing, and especially this series, that will change you as a person. Like, mark my words. But incredible writing. I love his books so much. And then I would have to say Sabaa Tahir, after I finished Number in the Ashes series. Love her writing. Oh my god. Such good writing, you guys. I think I would just say those 2 authors. I would definitely say Kristen Hanna too, but she's not a new to me author. I just like finally read 2 more of her books this year. I only got to listen to one of her books last year, which was Night Road, and then I finally read The Nightingale and Firefly Lane, and those changed me as a person too. But as far as the newest author to me this year, because one of my goals of 2025 was to read Fredrik Backman's books, because I hadn't read any of his books last year. He's like my new favorite author, and I've now read 5 of his books. And like I said, I read the Beartown trilogy. I read My Friends, which also made me cry too, which was his 2025 release. And then I read Anxious People. And Anxious People was actually like kind of a breath of fresh air, because it was the first book by him that I didn't cry. So, but yeah, just fantastic. I could rave about him forever and talk about him forever. So, yeah. Anyway, newest fictional crush. So I haven't really had any this month, but I think I know exactly who I'm going to say. Well, actually, no, I'm lying. As far as the newest fictional crush goes, but I'm going to say another one, but the newest fictional crush is everybody's reading this book right now, but for good reason, is Wilder Until Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. Oh my God, I love Wilder so much. He's just, what a man, what a man, what a man. I just love him. I think he's so fucking funny. I think he's so considerate of, and actually I didn't realize that I read like kind of 2 millionaire billionaire romances like back to back, because this is kind of a millionaire romance, I believe. And then I just finished Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter, which is also a billionaire romance. Millionaire, whatever, it doesn't matter. But, and I loved the character in there too. But I would say for a book that's out, because Made for Each Other's not out yet, so I'm not going to include that in my answer yet. That was only in the new releases question. Oh my God, I loved him. It was just so good. And this kind of redeemed, why did I turn it off? Ted Hamilton for me. Because I love his narration and I will listen to everything and anything that he narrates. But I actually never really listened to him before this year, because I had finally listened to the Fourth Wing series. I listened to Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. But he's literally like only at the end, I believe. He only plays Xaden at the end. But like this year is finally like when I listened to his book narrations finally and caught up. Like I said, that can be included in like one of the worst new releases this year. Oh, also, well, I'm going to say the most disappointing release this year. I'll say that besides Caught Up. But anyway, I did not really love his narration in Caught Up, because like I didn't really like how he was making Josh sound, because everybody loves Josh from the first book, from Lights Out. I loved him in this book. His voice was perfection for this book. This book was pure summer vibes, but it was so fucking funny. I loved this book. It was hilarious. Everybody should read it. It's getting all the hype for good reason. And it's my first and only Megan Quinn book that I've listened to. But I also have never read any of her other books, and I thought this was hysterical, and I thought this was the perfect one to start out with, because I don't know how many of her other books that I'm going to read, but definitely besides Wilder, why do I keep on wanting to call him Warner, like from Legally Blonde? Obviously, my other favorites, I'm just typing it in, is Cain from Beautiful Venom by Rena Kent. Now, I haven't really read that much dark romance this year, and also Leo from Kiss of the Basilisk. Oh my God, the way that I feel about that man by, what is her name? Lindsay Strobe. But I read that back in April. That's not the newest fictional crush, so that's not as recent as these two. Cain, oh my God, I loved Cain. Mostly because I was obsessed with the narrator. Oh my God, his voice was so hot. So hot. But such a good book, you guys. It was just so bingeable, but I just loved him in this book. I keep on mentioning the scene where they keep on exchanging text with each other, and like in the beginning, he keeps on leaving her on red. Dahlia, what is her name? Dahlia? I think it's Dahlia. Duh, Caitlin. But then later in the book, when he's down bad for her, she keeps on leaving him on scene, and then he gets mad. It's just so fucking funny. This book was just so good. But please check your trigger warnings for it, because it is a dark romance. Okay, I don't even know what number we're on, but we're just going to keep on going. Book that made you cry. You guys know that I'm a fucking baby when it comes to crying from books. There were definitely a few books that made me cry in June. I definitely read some tough reads in June. I mean, Blood Over Brighthaven made me cry. The Beartown trilogy made me sob like a baby. But I would have to say the book that literally had the biggest emotional impact on me and like the deepest. But also The Nightingale, Firefly Lane, both made me sob. What was the other one? But Remarkably Bright Creatures, oh my god. But like that wasn't like devastating, as more so just beautifully written. Um, but there's just been so many. But I would have to say the one that tore me apart and the one that probably, yeah, the saddest book that I read this year. Yeah. I cried so much by this book. It was probably the toughest read that I read this year. I mean, Beartown was pretty hard to read too. But the amount of times I had to stop listening to this book because I physically could not cry was Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. Like, I have to say this book because this book made me sob like a freaking baby because the subject matter in this book is so dark, and this is definitely the darkest book in the Boys of Tommen series, but you guys know this is my favorite series of all time. I could have grabbed it off my shelf, but it's all the way on the bottom, so I'm not going to grab it. Sorry. I'm just going to hold it up, you know. You still see the book cover, right? It was just so sad and so dark. Like I said, to be in Lizzie's head in this book is devastating. Devastating. So please check your trigger warnings when you go into this book. I don't know why this book has caused so much hate. Yes, there's sensitive topics. Yes, it's very dark, but these things happen in real life. So sorry if you don't like that, then don't read it. Like, don't hate on the author for tackling sensitive topics. And these are all things that she's lived through. So yeah, it's just fucked up. Some of the things that people have said, but it's not going to stop me from listening to the series or reading it. I only listen to these via audio because I am obsessed with the narrators, but I also think it's a little bit easier. But I didn't think I was like for me to read them because they're long books. So I just prefer listening to them, but also again, I love the narrators' voices. But I didn't think I was going to cry this much from this book. Seriously. I also cried from Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevenson. Is that her name? I cannot even see it. Why can I see it from here? Should I turn my my light on? I think it is Stevenson. Yeah. That book made me cry too. Sorry if I blinded you for a second. But yeah, devastating. Absolutely devastating. But it was amazing. Just that was probably the one that crushed me the most. I cried a lot during Nightingale and Firefly Lane though, and of course Beartown again. This fucking wrecked me. Wrecked me, but definitely Releasing 10 I would say is the saddest book that I've read this year, and Blood of Brighthaven. But let me just shut up. Okay, book that made you happy. There are definitely a lot of books that made me happy. I was actually going to say Beautiful Venom again, but I'm not going to say it again. Until Summer Do Us Part, same thing, but I already used that for a question. Both of those books for a question. One of my favorite, most happy books that I read this year, I think I'm going to say this as my top answer, is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This book was just so full of warm fuzzies. It was just such a good book. Oh, Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone also made me cry like a baby too. And A Sky Beyond the Storm, which is the fourth book in the Ember in the Ashes series, also made me cry. So, again, I cry a lot from books, but again, Releasing 10 is definitely the saddest. But this book was just so cute. Now everybody's reading it. I read it when it came out, and I have absolutely zero regrets. Because I was feeling a bit reading slumpy. Because like I've always told you guys, I always get reading slumpy in the beginning of a month and at the end of the month. But now the past 2 months, I think I've curated my TBRs pretty well last month and this month, where I'm picking books that I'm just really in the mood to read, but they're still on my TBR. So I've created some pretty good TBRs for myself. Did I get a mosquito bite yesterday? Because it's itchy as hell. But anyway, love this book. So cute. It's popular for a reason. It's just such an adorable book. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I would also say Made for Each Other that I just finished by Lynn Painter was so adorable. Really liked that book as well. Oh, I just finished this book a couple days ago, a couple of weeks ago, and this one was definitely probably the happiest, funniest book that I read last month. Oh my god, this book is hysterical. It's Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This book was so cute and so much fun, and like I said, this was my favorite book in the series from Ashley Poston so far. Really, really loves this book. Not Ashley Poston, Ali Hazelwood. I'm literally staring at Sounds Like Love, but I don't want to say that one. It was good. That was such a good book. Why am I like looking like it's, I'm like, I don't want to say that. No, I don't want to do that. It's still a really good book. Also, Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I'm actually really enjoying the books that I'm reading from Ali Hazelwood this year, as opposed to the ones that I read last year, because like I said, I'm enjoying all of her. I've read 3 out of her 4 STEM romances this year, and then I read Problematic Summer Romance. So I've read 4 of her books this year, and I've enjoyed every single one. So, and then of course, what was the other one? Oh, also, another new favorite author to me is Rebecca Surley. I'm really enjoying her books this year too. I've only read 2 of her books this year, Expiration Dates and One Italian Summer. So good though. Really enjoy her writing. I also cried at the end of Expiration Dates as well. But yeah, we're just going to keep on going back and forth answering these questions, okay? But yeah, I think those are definitely my top answers, is Summer in the City and Love on the Brain. They were just so adorable and so cute and just so giddy reading them. Sometimes you just need a good, funny romance. Okay, next up is Most Beautiful Book You've Bought So Far This Year or Received. I don't really receive books, but I'm going to say the most beautiful book that I bought is Night Weaver by R.M. Gray. This book is gorgeous. Like, and this is just the regular edition, you guys. I'm not that person that, like, spends $1 million on frickin' special editions. I could say Light Lark is the most beautiful book I own, but I think I bought that last year. But this one I bought when it came out. It's just so pretty, you guys. Like, look at these end papers. And I think look at the inside. Like, they really did an amazing job. So this one, I would definitely say, is the most beautiful book that I own and that I purchased this year. But this is so good. This book is really good. I can't wait for the second one. It comes out later this year. That's definitely another highly anticipated release. And then, of course, Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iriu. So pretty, right? Such a pretty book. And I love that I got the purple sprayed edges. Now they don't have the purple sprayed edges anymore. I bought this book when it first got traditionally published back in February, and then I read it that month. And, this was so good. This got me out of being reading slumpy as well. And also there was like a lot of stuff in my life going on at the time that was really just, I was in not the best place, and this really got me out of it because I got in a car crash and I couldn't drive, and it was just really depressing. So a lot of shit was going on in my personal life. So such a good book. Oh my god, this was such an escapist book at the time. So good. And then the other one is The Hollow Hunt by Margie Fuston. This is such an underrated duology, you guys. I don't know why nobody talks about this, but the book covers are absolutely stunning. So I bought this right after I finished the arc, I think, because I finished the arc of this, I believe, right before it came out. I can't remember, but this book was really good. I really enjoyed this duology, but it's just because the cover is so beautiful. I wish that there was like something more on the naked hardback, but it's a really pretty book. And then the last one is The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Emily Wenzel. Like, look at these sprayed edges, you guys. And then this one actually has a really pretty hardback as well, and also on the spine. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's just dark. I don't feel like turning the light on. Just really pretty. And this book was really good too. I really enjoyed it. I really like Emily Wenzel's books. This one also comes out, I believe in September, the second book in this duology. Oh, her books are so good. Okay, so last question. Besides, I just want to say my most disappointing read this year. And actually, this one really surprised me. I mean, besides The Crash and Four Ruined Realms, this one really surprised me on how much I did not like this book. Because I usually love this author's books. And honestly, I really have not rated books less than 3 stars this year, besides like maybe 3 or 4 books. I have not rated any book 1 star this year. Honestly, I would have to really hate it in order to make it a 1 star. But this was the most disappointing book I read this year, and that is It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan, whatever her name is. And this is coming from somebody's books that, besides Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, that book was not good. But actually, no, Swift and Saddled was worse than Done and Dusted. That was the worst actually, that was the worst sequel I read this year besides Four Ruined Realms. So we can just add that to that question. This one's a standalone. Because Annabelle Monaghan, why can't I say her name? But we're almost done. I'm not rambling the entire time of this video. I knew it wouldn't take me that long. But I am wearing the same shirt as I wore in my reading wrap up, Mind Your Business. But she's like one of my favorite authors, and like all of her other books I've rated 4 to 5 stars. So this was just, and I actually got the arc of this one. So I was really excited to read this. I was like so in the mood for her writing, and I don't know, I read this like a couple of weeks before it came out, and I preferred The Love Haters by Catherine Center over this one. Because The Love Haters was actually really funny. And I know quite a few people didn't love that book. I definitely liked it more than this one. It was actually more entertaining. It's just I thought that some of the things that the female main character said was really dumb. But anyway, yeah, just really disappointing. There was just like so much bathroom humor in this book that just really turned me off. I'm like, why do we keep on talking about pee and flushing toilets and all of that? I don't know, just like, and then she would throw in like something like a beautiful quote or something, but also like the female main character just like annoyed me, and like the romance was just so insta-lovey to me in this book. It wasn't that great. It just wasn't that great. And I felt like because they were rivals to lovers, but then they became lovers like way too quickly. And honestly, the reason why she didn't like him was just so stupid. Like, he was actually a wonderful man. And the only reason why she didn't love him is because, well, in the beginning, she thought she hated him was because, like, she didn't want to put this freaking song in the movie that they were trying to get made. It was just really dumb. So whatever. That was definitely my most disappointing read this year. Besides Caught Up by Navessa Allen, that was pretty disappointing because I was really looking forward to that book. And actually, I had listened to that book right after I finished Releasing 10. I was like, yay, we can, like, lose ourselves in a fun, dark romance, and I'm gonna laugh because Releasing 10 devastated me. No, that book was pretty disappointing too. So anyway, last question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I will just leave my 2025 and 2025 list in the link below, but I've actually been doing really good keeping to that list. I actually made a halfway through the year check-in on my progress on my 25 and 2025 list. And I've read 8 out of the 25. So basically, these are all the books that I want to read before the end of the year. I don't think I'm going to read all of them, but I'm still in the middle of Billy Summers. I did start the audiobook a couple weeks ago by Stephen King. So it was on my TBR for June. It just ended up rolling over to July, but I am determined to finish that book this month. I actually really was enjoying it. Out of the amount that I've listened to. I'm just hoping my mom isn't telling me to go to sleep, to be quiet. So I'm definitely going to finish that one. So that'll be 9. And then also The Night Circus by, what is her name? I don't know, I can never remember her damn name. Sorry, Night Circus. This one's a pretty popular book. But actually, this is my book club pick for this month. Let me just bring it up. Erin Morgenstern. So I'm definitely going to read this book before the end of the month. Very excited for that one too. It's been on my TBR for a while, and like I said, it's on my 25 and 2025. Like I also mentioned Bridge Kingdom. I'm definitely reading that series before the year is over. I really want to commit to some kind of long series before the month is over, the year is over. I also really want to read The Will of the Many, which is on my 25 and 2025. And then honestly, because the second book comes out in September, I believe, or October, but I know it comes out later this year, so I really do want to read that one before the year is over. I also really want to read The Rage of Dragons and The Shadow of the Gods, but The Will of the Many, not The Will of the Gods, is by James Ingselton, and The Rage of Dragons is by Evan E. Winter. I also want to read Assassin's Apprentice. I want to read the Shadow of the Gods trilogy, the Bloodsworn trilogy by John Gwynne. I want to read the Fireborn trilogy. Can't remember the author's name on the top of my head. And Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. Basically all the books that are on my fantasy shelf that have not been read yet. At least I finally read An Ember in the Ashes. So I've basically been sticking to like one a month. But I didn't get to read any of them last month. Or not last month. I think it was May. But since we read Ember in the Ashes in June, we got another one done. So basically, I'm already ahead of this list if I would have been reading one a month. So, like I said, Billy Summer should be done and The Night Circus. So that'll be 10 out of 25. So that'll be really, really good. And then we will see what we get to from September to December. I think I'm going to read more like high fantasy in November and December. But out of all the ones on this list, I really want to get to Bridge Kingdom, The Will of the Many, Fireborn, and I really do want to read Red Queen in December, but don't know. And Rage of Dragons, and The Shadow of the Gods, and Assassin's Apprentice. Like, they've all been on my TBR for so long. And Tomorrow, which is basically this whole list. And Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. We're definitely reading that before the year is over, because it's only one. I need to finally read my first Brandon Sanderson book. So that is it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819 and check out my TikTok and my Goodreads in the links below. Follow me on TikTok. I post a lot of book content over there, and Goodreads. I post every single review, post every single book that I've read. And also, I want to give you guys the total of how many books that I've read this year so far. Because I'm not going to do a yes, no, or maybe so. I think I'm going to do a yes, no, or maybe the end of this year and talk about all the books I've read. It's going to be a lot. But so far, I've read 123 books this year. That is insane. That is definitely more than I read last year at this point. Last year at this point, I didn't hit 100 books until the first week of August. But that was so great because that was my birthday month. But also, that's like the first time I've ever read 100 books in my life was last year. So the fact that I've read 123 books this year is literally insane. So I had first set the goal to 100 books because I knew I would hit that. But then I changed it to 150 once I hit 100. But I'm going to hit 150 probably by the end of August, to be honest, because I'm already at 123. So I'm probably just going to change it to 200. So I'm probably going to hit 200 books this year, which be freaking nuts. But also, my schedule is going to get a little bit crazy in August because I do start working for Apple starting the 25th of this month. So we're going to try to read as many books as we can. We are staying on track for this month. We've already read 7 books this month, which is great. It's only July 10th. So like I said, I just finished Made for Each Other earlier today. So yeah, that's it. And please let me know what your least favorite book and your favorite book was this year in the link below. In the comments below. Oh my God, I'm tired. Yeah, please leave your favorite book and your least favorite book. I would love to know. So yeah, that's it. Keep reading. Bye.
Okay, so I have one more book to add to my most anticipated read of the second half of the year besides Brimstone. Because this, I literally just saw this posted on Facebook and I was about to edit this video so I could post it. And then this got announced and now I'm literally going to be losing my mind in December. I cannot wait for this book to come out. And that is the fourth book in the Lightlark series, which is Crown Tide by Alex Astor. I don't care what people say. I love Lightlark. I devour these books. I think they're so much fun. I have such a great time. I think I'm going to listen to all three of them before I go into this one because I tried to do that before I went into Sky Shade earlier this year. Was that earlier this year or last? I think that was last November. Loved that book. And then I also read Summer in the City back in March. And that was actually my first 5-star read by Alex Astor. I've given every book in the Lightlark series 4.5, but I love them. I think they're so much fun. But yeah, cannot wait for this book to come out. And it comes out December 2nd of 2025. So I think this literally just got announced like a few days ago. So I'm so excited. Yeah. So this is definitely my second most anticipated read besides Brimstone. So I'm excited. I'm excited. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go. So this video isn't 10 million years long. But there's so many releases this year. I also just picked up The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst when I could have sworn that that book was going to be released later in the year. But it was released 2 days ago. So I don't know if I feel like sometimes either some book dates get pushed back if they're going to be traditionally published. Like the third book in the On Wings and Blood series. I was going to read that last month, but then it's getting traditionally published. So the third book's not coming out until March of 2026. And the same thing with Direbound. Furybound is coming out March of 2026 because it's also getting traditionally published. So sometimes that pushes back the release of the new books. So, but with this one, we already knew it was going to be published and released. I thought it was going to be released in September. Because I could have sworn that's what the original release date was, but no. It came out 2 days ago, so I picked it up today, and hopefully I can read it soon, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it in this month because I have 3 new releases that I really want to read next week. So, yeah. That's about it. I'm going to go, and I hope you guys enjoy. I don't even know when I'm going to insert this clip. Bye-bye.